The Straight Red Card is sponsored by Roughneck Scarves. Visit Roughneck Scarves for your supporters' gear from Seattle, Portland, New York, to the Philadelphia Union, and anything MLS to the English Premier League. Visit Roughneck Scarves at roughneckscarves.com. Welcome to the Straight Red Card, and today, Brett is out, I guess, training dolphins or something like that. I'm not sure exactly what it's all about, but he's not able to join us today. So our the second in command, right behind Brett, I guess, is you, Ruben, and you're joining us today to kind of fill in that lofty spot that Brett holds on this show.
Hello, good evening.
And actually, I want to tell you, Brett said, good choice when I decided that you should be the co-host tonight.
Well, I'm very happy to be here.
All right. Well, that's a lot of pressure when Brett says you're the right guy for the show. But let's just get right to it. MLS this weekend, New York versus LA. Actually, a pretty decent quality game. I thought it was fun to watch. There was a lot of great passing going on, and all the DP guys stepped up, whether it be Landon or Beckham or Henry. I thought it was a good quality night to watch soccer.
Yeah, it was. There's some interesting storylines with that matchup. I think if there's anything that Don Garber and the MLS heads would want, would be a nice kind of cross-country, huge market rivalry to develop, especially if the teams are good. And I'd have to say both these teams are pretty good, particularly in MLS standards. But yeah, I mean they're right there with the best teams in the league.
Well, you had Landon Donovan up in Henry's face, and Luke Rodgers giving Landon Donovan the yap 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 thing with his hand and saying, "Hey, buddy, that's enough talk. Get on with it." And then, of course, Luke, in the after-game interview said, I respect Landon Donovan. I know we went over to Everton, and he did really well, and I know he's played in the World Cup, and I know this guy's a good player. But, how much yapping do we have to listen to? It was like having a second referee on the field.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
and that's, I think, something that Donovan is known for, particularly here in MLS. But, that's just, I don't know, I guess you and I and anyone else that's followed the league for years has known that's how he is. So, it'll be interesting when they have the return leg out in New Jersey.
Yeah.
And see what happens there, because I think you're right. I think there was a lot of good quality play, particularly from some of those big-name guys. You brought up some of their names. Beckham, I thought, played really well, and he wasn't the only one. So it was a fun game. Yeah.
Yeah, and then before we move on to Beckham, what did you think about Landon Donovan's tweet about Luke Rodgers saying, "Who's Luke Rodgers?" Basically saying, "Luke Rodgers, you're a guy that's played a bunch of lower division soccer in England, and who are you to be throwing the yap, yap, yap at my face in the middle of the game?" Did you think that was a little, maybe less than, I don't know, polite from Landon? Maybe a little small from him?
It wasn't up to his noble standards, is that what you're saying?
That's right.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess you see that more and more often, especially in the days where, you can tweet something or, update some sort of status or some sort of social networking, site. But, I mean, it's a little petty.
Yeah.
You would hope that someone as, I mean, I guess I could use the word accomplished, as
right.
Donovan wouldn't have to kind of stoop that low. But, then again, it's got us talking about it, so.
Well, that's true. And, maybe Landon isn't, maybe Landon still has that sort of petty streak in him. He seemed really professional, I guess, when he was in Everton, and prior to that, kind of building up to that, and even at Bayern. And I just thought maybe, that's just something you ignore. But maybe it's just sort of, as you said, this kind of ignites the rivalry, and that's probably something Don Garber likes. Now, same thing, Don Garber is going to like a lot is Beckham coming out and Henry coming out and playing some high-quality soccer. The kind of soccer, of course, both of those players have been criticized about for not bringing their A games to MLS. And I thought Beckham in particular last night was right on the spot. Those were some incredible passes, but it's not like he hasn't been doing that. I mean, people criticize Beckham a lot, but it's not like he hasn't been throwing those pinpoint passes in, for the last few years. It's just that he's doing it more often now.
Right. I think his consistency has gotten better. I mean, I think he always had the capability of sending in that pinpoint perfect pass, and you'd see flashes of it, but particularly in the game against New Jersey, I always joke. I say New Bon Jovi energy drink, but it's New York Red Bulls.
Yeah.
Anyway, he did pretty well with throughout the entire game, really, and I mean, it was good to see. I think one of the knocks on Beckham is that he kind of shows up when he feels like he wants to, and it's not just during the game. It's even certain games he doesn't even just. Sometimes he's physically not there, but
right.
This year I think a couple of things are going on. I think he's trying to prove that he can be someone that teams can rely on, and it could be him trying to show a little bit of his character, and that he's going to be potentially a reliable, owner or manager of a team going forward. And who knows? It could be anything, and it could be any reason. He realizes that there's going to be, a good amount of spotlight on this game too, with all of the big names playing. So it could have just been that as well.
It could have been, and I think one of the big things that I noticed last night was Bruce Arena smartly realized that Beckham would be, if he played on either wing, probably be outpaced by either Lynn Pierre or Dane Richards on the right wing.
Richards, yeah.
Yeah, so he decided, I'm going to play Beckham in the middle. I'm going to put some faster guys out on the wings that can probably cover that. So Donovan moved from striker out to wing, and then he had McGee on the other wing, and he put Beckham in that pocket, where Beckham likes to drift back and receive the ball and scope the field, and it really gives him this opportunity to make things happen. And I like that. I think that's something LA has to look into, because I think, even when they're not threatened by such, speedy or skilled wingers like Dane Richards and Lynn Pierre, I think in the long run, it's nice to have a guy like Beckham sitting back in that pocket. And, of course, De Rosario was supposed to cover him and make sure that didn't happen. But De Rosario could not make that happen. And he actually played so far off Beckham, it allowed Beckham to raise his head, find somebody open, and make that laser pass. And I like that spot for Beckham.
I'm sorry. I was just going to say, I think the other thing that really allowed Arena to do that, and I noticed he was doing that a little bit earlier in the year too. He was placing Beckham more towards the middle and allowing him to really roam around, just kind of float around wherever he wanted to be offensively. But I think the one that kind of grabbed some attention away from Beckham right in the middle of the field is Juninho. And I think that might have been why De Rosario had to respect Juninho on more of those short passes, and giving him some space right in the middle of the field is going to create, another problem. So I don't know if it was more that or what, but no matter. I mean, Beckham took his opportunities. He did well with them.
Yeah, and then when you have Belushi playing right next to De Rosario, I mean, these are guys, both of them, on New York's team that are known for their more offensive-minded play rather than their defensive play. So Belushi, an attack-minded center midfielder, De Rosario, an attack-minded center midfielder, playing right next to each other. And to De Rosario's credit, he did get back most of the night to help out Belushi as much as possible. And to Belushi's credit, he actually got back and I thought did a rather respectable, more of defensive role for New York, and made it a game.
I think you're right on with that because I think the match itself was pretty even right in the middle of the field. It might not have seemed like both teams were playing the same style, of course, but both central midfields played pretty well, and I like. It's hard. It's really hard for me to say this. I like New York's team. I like what how they put things together.
Yeah.
It's not something I care to admit, but that is a fun team to watch. I mean, just from front to back, side to side, they're pretty well stocked.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and I thought that Henry is. I think that it's clear at this point, if his season continues the way it is, he's going to live up to all the hype that last year when he came in a little injured and maybe not in the best shape and not in the best form. Now he's looking like this is the Henry we expected. He's finding all the little slots. He's there to pick up the garbage as well. Boy, this guy could definitely end this season as the league's top scorer.
Yeah, yeah. I think there's no doubt about it. I don't care how old he is at this point. He's still got an incredible level of not just skill, but I mean he's so commanding, up top, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to say he's anywhere near as good as he was when he was with Arsenal, and even at times with Barcelona. He got a lot of crap thrown his way for not being as good at Barcelona, but I mean, they're just completely different schemes and different styles, and I think, it does take a little while for a player, even of his caliber, to adjust to a new team, so I think part of it last year could have been a lot of that, too. It's a new team, new teammates, new responsibilities, and to go from, maybe, seventh, eighth best option at Barcelona to score to the guy, it's not going to be easy for anyone, really.
Yeah.
I don't care, people are going to say, yeah, but it's only MLS. It's not that way anymore.
Right.
This league has developed too much, and the average player in MLS is so much better than the average player was, 5-10 years ago.
Right. I mean, the average player, I think, is better here than it is in most Scandinavian leagues, certainly most Eastern European leagues. Maybe until you hit Russia, where, there's some high-quality teams with a lot of foreign players because they have the money. But, when in general, I think the quality, as we stated at the beginning of this, has gone so far up